This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Yes, welcome to the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Hope you're having a blessed day wherever you're tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, Pulse95Radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. If you're chilling at home, watching us live on YouTube, shout out to everyone who is tuned in. Thank you very much for joining me. We got to give a special shout out and a birthday. Well, it's a double birthday actually, today and tomorrow. Umniya Saleh's birthday and Aisha Al-Mazmi as well. So they are celebrating just in between that door right there, munching on some dessert. And thank you very much for everyone who sent their love in. What's up, Rachel? I see you. And of course, Terry, Moza, Dubai Football League, Coachelli, Khalil, Murtaza, Ali, Ahmed, Rawan is in the building as well. Kulthum, Emma, Bola, Mario, Super Mario, and everyone else who's tuned in. Right, what do we have in store for you today? Following a fantastic weekend in Sharjah, I got to cover some of the best footballers in the country who participated in the Red Bull Neymar tournament. So we're going to be talking about that. Now, the good thing about that is some of the guests who I was asked to interview happened to know. So it was fantastic to get them in the seat talking to me about the experience. Now, the winners get to go to Brazil and also get to meet Neymar. So I was very interested to see the women and men teams, how they were going to compete, the different rules and all that kind of stuff, which was good. A roundup of the world sports action headlines. But last but not least, for you guys who are into health and fitness, how hard is it to stay in silence? How hard is it to get the brain relaxed? And we discuss a method that could help you out of that funk that you're in normally and reset your mood on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
Yes, let's get ready to rumble. This hour is going to be on fire. Why? Because we've got plenty of good stuff on the show today to discuss with you. Now, if you're just tuning in and you're wondering, what have I missed? Not much, don't worry. It's just been the top of the hour. But what do we have in store for you today? We've got the Neymar Red Bull Juniors tournament. I was hosting the Pulse 95 booth at Sharjah Al-Jada this weekend, actually, where the winners get a chance to go to Brazil to meet Neymar and also have an all-paid expenses trip out there, you know, just to get across the world and just do what you love doing, football. So got to see the women and men's quarterfinals played. Really cool, some familiar faces. If you missed out on the show, the podcast is up on Spotify, SoundCloud and Anghami and Apple as well. Make sure you tune into that. We had some wicked guests. We had Arij Al-Hamadi on there. We had Anita on there. We had Sean Freestyle, who's the world global freestyler. We had Hamzawi as well, one of the most popular five-a-side footballers who was there as well, which was fantastic. There was a lot of things happening at the event. The music was good. It was nice to kind of see a little bit of normality actually restored, which was great. The stakes were there. You know, there was a lot of pressure for them to do well. The rules were different as well. So if you actually scored a goal, the other team would go a player down. If you scored another goal, then the other team would go 2 players down. So the strategy and tactics were very, very interesting coming into the tournament because it's very different to the usual 5, 7 or even 11-a-side game. The boards were up, so there was no out of bounds. The referees were in there, and every time the ball would come towards them, they pretty much jumped to make sure they don't touch the ball. So that was another cool thing that was happening. So there was really, really cool things on there. So if you did miss the show, check out the podcast on there and you can get to see all the interviews there. What else is coming up on the show today? We've got, a roundup of sports. But the question I have for you today, and I'm going to ask it now and revert back to it later, how hard is it to stay in silence? Now, you might think, that's obvious. I can just stay in silence and not do anything. But then you probably look for something to do. You might look for your phone. You might look for your computer. You might look at the TV screen or do something. But how long can you stay in silence and be completely fine? That's the kind of the question of the day. How hard is it to do it without technology? What does it do for your peace of mind? If you haven't tried it, maybe in the break, I'll set you that challenge. Just go away for a couple of minutes. Don't do anything. Try and really zone out and just stay in silence. And how does that help you perform better? So that's the question of the day. Right, okay, so back to the tournament. Arij Al-Hamadi was on there. If you've probably heard her name. She's broken Guinness World Records. She's also been on the show twice. She represents the UAE national team, and she was taking part in the tournament in a very different scenario regarding the five-a-side juniors tournament for Neymar. Unfortunately, she didn't win, which we were kind of hoping that she would. She didn't win. Her team was I think it was called Felice, and it was with Maria, Anita, Talita, They had a few of the footballers that we've worked with in the past, so that was good. And then from the men's side, you had some of the boys I used to work with when I was director of the academy, and it was Hamzawi, you had Musab, you had Isa, they were there as well. So you had all these players that, just footballers, natural born footballers. They breathe, they eat, they sleep football, and they actually won it, So they're on their way to Brazil, and I got a chance to interview Hamzawi before that, and he's won it twice before. So clearly he understands the stretch of it. Now, he was quite modest about it. He did say when I interviewed him, he's like, it's luck, and you just have to score the first goal and defend properly, because if you're a man down, and your back's against the wall, it's hard to kind of make up that number. But I found it very interesting to watch them play. Shout out to Hakawi as well, who was hosting the whole event, and Sean Freestyle, they were there. So being able to watch, the energy was good, the music was up, the vibe was good. So I really enjoyed kind of seeing, like I said, a bit of normality being resumed, because the fans have been taken away from sport has been put on hold, tournaments, leagues have been put on hold. So to be able to attend an event like that and watch, everyone get together and do something they love, that was very, very positive. Very, very cool. Really, really enjoyed being there at the tournament. Thank you, Pulse 95, also for having me down there to be able to witness everything and interview some fantastic people. So make sure you do check it out. Right, what's coming up next? How hard is it to stay in silence? That's the question of the day. If you're thinking about that, why don't you try it in the break? We're gonna play a little track for you if you're not staying silent. There's gonna be some LMA Trip, and it's a Jamie Boy cover. But if you are, put everything away. 2 minutes and 28 seconds, complete silence. Try to not fidget or do anything, and let me know how that feels when we get back after the break. I'll see you on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95.
This is the halftime show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Al-Duri. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We're still celebrating. We're celebrating Omnia Saleh's birthday. We're celebrating Aisha Al-Mazmi, which is her birthday's tomorrow. You got people all over the Instagram live at Omar Al-Duri, wishing them all the best, wishing them wishes. And thank you everyone for tuning in. Right, okay, so we spoke about the Red Bull Neymar Juniors tournament that I was at on the weekend, which was fantastic in Al-Jada, Sharjah. Really good stuff happening there. But right now, the question of the day that I have for you is, and I want you to really think about this. Masoud, welcome back, man. Come back into the show, bro. How hard is it to stay in silence? Now, so many things, come from this question. And I say that because as easy as it sounds, and a lot of people say, easy, try it. See how long you can stay in silence without fidgeting, without looking at your phone, without looking at a computer screen. Maybe even just close your eyes and just try to reset your thoughts. Your brain works overload. Sometimes even when you close your eyes, your brain's still thinking and working and ticking away. So my question is, and I say this because basically the other day I had a stinker of a game. I was playing football, had a stinker of a game, came back home, watched my team lose. That made it even worse. And then I just thought, I need to meditate. I need to reset my brain and really get things back to surface level. And it was really interesting that I have this audio file that I play, which helps you regulate your breathing and meditation. And just staying in silence and just trying to retrace your thoughts is very, very interesting. And I was sitting back, lying down in the morning. I had to reset everything and do things properly. But you know what? It's very difficult not to be able to move or remember that you did something or finish something off or maybe start something. And that's why I thought I'll bring that question to you today. How hard is it to stay in silence? And how hard is it to do that without technology, just for your own peace of mind? Whether it's actually listening to your breathing, whether it's breathing from your belly all the way up to the top. You might even feel lightheaded if you do it properly. So that's the clue in it. Then the other thing is you start to get tingles in your fingers and in your feet because you're almost now not allowing things to get in the way, nothing to actually block you from achieving what you want to achieve. So I'm putting it out there now and I'm saying, how hard is it to stay in silence? And what's the most amount of time that you have actually stayed in silence without moving, fidgeting, looking at your phone, looking at the computer screen, and just kind of really, retracing your patterns, your thoughts, your flow. It takes a lot to do that. Sometimes even thinking about gratitude or mindfulness before executing a practice like this. You might think, I could be doing so many different things. But then all of a sudden it resurfaces. And in doing so, it's fantastic to be able to see what you can get out of it, what you can do the moment you're done with it, whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes even. Wake up a little bit earlier, do it before you start the day. That's the question of the day. How hard is it to stay in silence? And what's the most amount of time you've been able to do that? Right, coming up next, take a quick roundup of the world of sports. And we take all your questions and answer them on the final segment. Right, enjoy this. Some rudimental. I'm feeling that London vibe today. Here you go, enjoy.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. We're back in full effect here on the Halftime Show in the heart of Sharjah on Pulse 95 Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in. All right, so a couple of questions coming in during the break. Now, it is a roundup of sports. I'm going to give you a couple of headlines of what's happening at the moment. Pakistan obviously faced South Africa in rugby. South Africa won by 17 runs. However, it wasn't plain sailing for South Africa. Pakistan opener Fakhar Zaman hit a stunning 193, but could not prevent South Africa from winning the second one-day international by 17 runs. Pakistan captain Babar Azam said Fakhar's knock was one of the best innings ever, while South Africa counterpart Temba Bavuma said it was incredible and probably the best he had seen. The series is tied at 1-1 with the final ODI at Centurion on Wednesday, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We've also got a couple of things happening in the world of sport. I had Spicy tell me quite a few things when it came down to, he asked me what my thoughts were on the Arsenal Liverpool game. It was very, very painful to be able to go through that. I think not only did I lose it, my own game personally playing with the boys, but also went back and watched that. It was very, very frustrating to be able to see, just the Arsenal team almost withdrawn from their normal style of play. They were very pragmatic. It didn't suit them. It was almost like a Mourinho team set up to defend, paying a lot of respect to Liverpool, who, apart from the last two results, had been there for the taking. Teams were able to attack them, teams were able to hurt them, peng them back, but Trent Alexander-Arnold definitely answered his critics by playing a fantastic ball to Jota, who grabbed 2 goals on the day and also came off the bench to be able to change the whole game. Now, Arsenal quite lucky. There wasn't more than that, despite not having the players like Saka, Xhaka as well. David Luiz, who is a leader on the pitch. It was tough to kind of see that from a perspective. City keep marching on, looking very, very consistent and setting themselves up for the Champions League, which is this week. That's going to be good. And then also, you had the usual suspects, I think, with the relegation battle happening. A lot of teams were looking at Fulham, looking at Brighton, and looking at Newcastle for what they could do. Newcastle pegged it back 2-2 against Tottenham after being, a very, very good game for Harry Kane, but not necessarily for Tottenham. So that's regarding cricket and regarding football. Going over to UFC, we also had John Jones and Francis Ngannou. It continues to go on back and forward on social media. Do you guys agree with that? What do you guys think about that? The fact that, John Jones is asking for a little bit more money to be able to have the crazy fight that, they're talking about at the moment now, which is setting up Francis Ngannou versus John Jones. They said if Conor McGregor wants to do what he wants, you guys are going to pay him exactly what he wants. But when it comes down to the greatest of all time, you don't want to pay up. And that tells me something as well, which maybe the fact they're going public is, it's not a good thing for the fans, because that means that they're airing it out there. But also, people want to see those kind of fights. People want to see, the heavyweights, the global superstars match up against each other. And Francis Ngannou's story, we've spoken about it on the show, has been fantastic to be able to see his rise, but also you want him to defend, his title against the best. Now, whether that opens the door for Stipe Miocic to be able to come back for a third fight, a trilogy fight, that could be the case if that's what he wants to do. However, if it's not what he wants to do, then you're looking at obviously John Jones, and you're looking at the rest of the division to kind of step up and take charge. So that's basically what's happening with UFC. Now, there's actually a few things that, you know, a lot of people are kind of considering at the moment when it comes down to sports. Not just are we looking forward to the summer where hopefully fans will be resuming back in, but will that change the dynamic of the results you're watching now? You know, with no pressure on. You know, when I watched, for example, when I watched Arsenal lose to Liverpool that badly that day, I just wonder how the fans would have responded. If you see Tottenham, you know, throw away a lead and Newcastle come back, how would the fans be towards Mourinho? You see the clubs like West Ham and Aston Villa, you know, doing so well in the league without fans. Now, when fans do come back, are you going to have that 12th man, so to speak, where they have a voice and they speak out and they can push their team past the line? So a couple of things there that we're all looking at, thinking, how is it going to be, for example, in the Euros when, you know, you have fans back in the stadium? And then also with the fans, are they going to be as vocal as normal? You know, will there be social distancing in the stadium, you know, in the seats between people? We don't really know how that's going to be, but there's a lot to look forward to, because finally, I don't want to say this too soon, but finally there's a little bit of normality coming back into it. And I think that is something that, you know, we want to see as fans. We want the athletes to feel love. We want them to feel support. Sometimes you can see them, they're about to cross the line and it's not there. The boxing fights, Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, is another one. You know, they're waiting, you know, for people to come back. What's that, DJ Khaled?
Another one.
Thank you very much. So it is another one for them to forward and also get back on track. But how do you guys feel about that happening? Will that change the outcome of sport once it does resume back to normality? And also the question of the day is, how hard is it to stay in silence, without technology, without anything, just you and a peace of mind? Let me know, 4215 at the Salat or slide into my DMs at Omar Al-Duri and give me a shout. What's the longest time you stayed in silence with no distraction? Think gratitude, think mindfulness, and I'll be back after some Ali Gatti. Enjoy.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Al-Duri on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show. And I can't believe it's almost full time. If you are just tuning in, don't worry, you can catch all our episodes on podcasts on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, or Angami, or even head over to the YouTube channel Pulse 95 Radio, and you got all the halftime shows there with the fantastic guests. Punched above my weight, to be very honest, and got them here on the show to be able to speak to you, whether it's through Zoom if they were international, or even if they were here in the country. We brought them into the studio to talk about all sorts of things like mental health, gut health, and also how the brain affects the body. Some really, really cool interviews. Make sure you head over there, like, subscribe, and share. We appreciate all the support and love we get here on the Halftime Show, and, you know, I'm very grateful for that. So thank you very much. Okay, so what have we spoken about today? The Red Bull Neymar Juniors tournament. I got a chance to head down there, interview a couple of people there, from Sean Garnier, who's a freestyler, fantastic, you know, freestyler globally. We had him, and then we also had, you know, what stakes were on the line. There were so many different things there. You know, the winners get a chance to go to Brazil, meet Neymar, and represent, you know, the five-a-side juniors tournament. So that was cool. We got a chance to interview Hamzawi, who won the tournament twice and won it, and now is in the finals for the third time. We also got a chance to interview Edith Al-Hamadi as well, who was, you know, doing her thing as well there. Yes, maybe they didn't win Team Felice, but they did really, really well. And Anita as well, who's a regular listener on the show, actually. So to get her on the halftime show was fantastic. And then, of course, you know, we had Hamzawi as well. I said Hamzawi, Arij, Anita, and Sean Garnier. Those were the four people we had on there. And it was just a nice energy, nice vibe about the whole place that we got a chance to experience. So really appreciate Red Bull for doing their thing. Akawi and the whole team were very, very accommodating and very, very nice to us. The question of the day we were asking today was, how hard is it to stay in silence, especially when it affects your performance? Now, being able to reset your mind and reset your body are two different things, but can you do that without technology, without looking at a screen, without being distracted, and maybe even listening to your breathing? A bit of gratefulness and mindfulness as well. So that's what we spoke about in the segment. And also we had a roundup of sports. We spoke about cricket, we spoke about UFC, we spoke about football, we spoke about boxing as well. And nice to see, you know, your thoughts on the comments that you left behind as well. So thank you very much, everyone on Instagram live at the moment who's with me, and also on TikTok. AJ saying, I think humans are naturally against staying silent. Still, it takes a mental and physical power to do that, because keep moving, what help humans feel alive. You see, I agree with that, AJ, but I also counter that in saying that sometimes just being able to stay still while everything is moving is still progress. And it means that basically you're able to control and manage your nervous system, to manage your breathing, to manage the way your brain works. We're used to looking at different colors, we're used to looking at different people and see so many different things, but it's almost harder to do that now. You know, when you're in silence or when you're actually quiet, or even if you're just kind of in your own head just thinking, people find that weird. And I agree with you when I say like it's not natural, but it's also very, very interesting because we're all different in how we respond. And taking that time out can sometimes be the difference in performing when it's needed. Now, whether that's with work or sport or friends or family or even, you know, just something that you need to do, if you're able to do that, it's very, very healthy for your brain. You know, then you also have things like reading as well. You know, Jim Quick said, like, reading for the brain is what exercises for the body. And that's another thing that I agree with, you know, when it comes down to that, just taking some time out, even through prayer, being spiritual, being present, but at the same time, you know, not being scared to detach yourself from everyone else. So yeah, so there it is. We have reached full time. Where's the full time whistle? On the halftime show. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you very much for spending your afternoon with me, and I'm wishing you all the love and blessings, peace and love out there. Have a great day, and I will see you guys very, very soon, every Monday, Wednesday and Saturday, 3 to 4. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.
If you liked this episode of The Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.